Hi guys, I'm back again with another video. Today I'm doing two stitch braids or two braids, and first I start applying the jam on my wristwatch, and then I'll section the hair. And my biggest struggle is always to do the middle parting because I'd like as much as possible to have clean and neat partings when I'm doing my hair. So that's my biggest struggle, and as you can see, I was just pre-parting and pre-parting again because I felt like it wasn't sitting right in the middle of my head. But in the end, I was like, it's okay, even if it's not like proper straight, at least at the back, at least at the front, it's like straight as I wanted it to be. After that, I start applying jam in small sections and brushing it out, making sure that I detangle any part that may have like tangled up in there, because you want the hair to be as smooth as possible before you start braiding. If the hair is not smooth and detangled, you're going to struggle to braid because it's gonna be so fluffy and full and the hair is just gonna be all over the place. So that's what I do, and then I make sure I brush it all through, all the way to the back and all the way to from the middle, and I try and mold the hair into the center, like braid, from where I'd like the braid to lay. So personally for me, I love the braid to lay close to my ear, so I lay the hair and mold it in such a way that once I'm braiding, the hair is gonna be laying closer to my ear. Some people like their hair like closer to the center of the head, but I feel like it frames my head nicely if I mold it to lay closer to my ear. And then after that, I start braiding and feeding in the hair. So for this type of braids, I like mine to be a bit more thicker, and hence I'll keep on like adding more and more hair to make it thicker. And then as well, I've been loving the trend where you have like two curly hairs falling on your face. So I'll put two curls as well to lay on top of my face. I feel like it looks cute, so I said why not try as well. So that's what I'm gonna do. And then as well, I was trying to make stitches when I was doing this style, which was quite tricky. And in the end, I gave up. I noticed that the braids were not as tight as I wanted them to be, so I had to take them all out and start all afresh, because I didn't want them to just come out in like 1 week, because if you don't do them too tight, they won't last you that long. And I was looking to have this style for like 2 weeks. So yeah, I took it all out and then I jumped straight back into it. This time round, I was trying to do it a bit more tighter than I did before, because I now figured out how to grip the hair properly. For this style, the secret is to have a tight grip when you're doing the cornrows, because if you don't have a tight grip, the braid is just gonna look loose and it's gonna come out in a couple of days anyway. So if you're looking to have this style for a couple of days, make sure you are having a tight grip and you're also parting and smoothing as you go. Make sure you're combing through the ends to detangle any tangled hair or matted hair, because that's also another problem. The more you're braiding, the hair just keeps tangling up, and if you don't comb it out as you're braiding, the result is not gonna look clean and crisp. And if you're looking for a clean and crisp result, you need to comb through as you're braiding. And then this time round, I was trying so hard to do the stitches and I couldn't do it no more. It was like too much hair. So I was just going with the flow, and I decided wherever the stitches were gonna show, that's fine. I don't really mind. But the process of feeding in the hair and braiding is just similar to what I did to the other side. So I'm just gonna leave it there for now. And once I got to the other side, the process is quite the same as what I did to the first braid. I first do a middle parting on where I want the braid to lay, and then I'll just apply the jam and comb it through. Make sure the jam is like evenly spread all through the hair, and I'll do it in sections as I'm smoothing it all out. And once I'm done, I'll brush it all and mold it to where I want the braid to lay. That's the secret. So if you want the braid to lay close to your ear, make sure you're molding the hair close to the ear, or whichever position you want, mold the hair towards that direction, so that once you start braiding, it's so easy for you to just follow that, and it's gonna make your life so much easier. That's what happens when I'm doing this. So I just mold it, and then once I start braiding, I don't have to think about the positioning of the braid because I've done it already. I just need to focus on gripping the hair and making sure I'm braiding neatly. So you can try that as well. And then once I'm done with the molding, I just start braiding and feeding in the hair. I do it in small sections. First I start adding like small feedings of hair, and then I gradually add the hair. I add more thickness as I'm going down. So you can do this depending on how thick you want your braid to be. So you'll just, some people don't even like adding as much hair as I am. Some people just prefer to do it with their own hair if their hair is thick enough. But yeah, I would say it's just personal preference. For me, I love the braids to be a bit more thicker and fuller, so I'll be adding more hair. And yeah. once I was done with the two braids, I decided to add a weave at the end. Normally I would just leave the hair as it is. What I normally do sometimes is maybe add curls on the tail of the braid, but this time I felt like I wanted a different look, a different vibe, so I added curly wave at the end, and I did it on both sides of the braid as well. So I feel like, yeah, it looks kind of nice and different. A different vibe is always nice. The final process of this hair is to seal the weft so that it doesn't show, because you don't want to be walking with a weft that's showing. So the trick to this is to take a few strands of the weave, and then I spray the holding spray onto the weave, and then I wrap it around the weft to seal the weft, so that you don't see where the weft is starting and where my braid is like finishing off from the rest of the hair, so that it just looks all seamless. And you need to keep on adding more of the holding spray as you're wrapping it all around. And then I'm gonna use a blow dry to try and dry it, or you can just leave it for a few minutes. And this is the final result of the hair. I love it so much. I feel like the curls bring a different vibe to the hair, you feel me? Like, it's just something about the curls that I can't really pinpoint, but yeah, it's more fancy than just doing plain like two braids. So you can give it a try and let me know what other styles you'd like to see me create, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.